Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the season one, episode four of the stream. And this will be recorded and placed on YouTube. If it is, please like and subscribe on my channel. That really helps me and continue doing these things and getting a bigger audience. So let your friends know. I don't really have any other way of advertising except this and also my social media. But yeah, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and if you have questions, you're welcome to join me live and ask me while I'm doing the work that I do. And if you're watching this after the fact, you can try and leave questions in the comments, and I will get back to you. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. A lot of times when I do these streams, usually there isn't anybody watching live just yet, just because I don't really have that much of an audience. But hopefully, those of you that do tune in will be one of the lucky ones that can say you were there when it all started. Okay, with that, I also want to apologize because last time, episode 3, something happened to the file and I was not able to upload it onto YouTube. So I will do some of that today. I'll just make another sword. That's all we did last time. So I'll be doing part of this as the sword, and I will do some other stuff as well in addition. So I just need to adjust my chair here real quick. Just 1 second. Here we go. All good. And all right, perfect. Okay, so the way I'm going to start with the sword is I just have some basic shapes here, and I think this part over here is pretty simple, and I don't know if anybody needs me to show how to make it, the blade itself. And if I turn on polyframe on it, you can see that it's just really simple, low res geometry. I've done a few creases just to kind of have those sharp edges. And I've also created some polygons along the along the length of it, just to kind of break it up in case I need to subdivide it and have some kind of scratches and whatnot on it. Okay, and then this piece is just a copy of that, but I've dynameshed it. And then there's another kind of dynameshed piece over here, another dynameshed piece over here, and then the hilt is part of my cylindrical primitives pack that I just put on here to I mean, it's just, if I solo it out, it's just a cylinder that's kind of been extended. This shape is available in the set as one of the parts, and I'll go ahead and load it. And I've got all of my things showing up here on the side, so all of the pieces of the primitives kit. And to find this specific one, I think it's sometime we're in the beginning, so I'm going to make this smaller so I can get more of them and scroll more of them and see if I can find it. It's got 4, so it's got to be part of the 4s. And what I mean by that is I've got these things divided by how many features they have, and it's this one right here. So I basically just took this and extrapolated this shape out of it. Yeah, it's the same thing. I just mirrored it over to the bottom and am using it to create the hilt of the sword. Okay, and that's basically it. Just some really simple shapes, but I'm going to take this into being something a lot more sophisticated. All right, so the blade, I don't really think I need to do much to it. I might want to do one thing here, and I'm going to solo it to do it. I just want to accentuate this feature just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and first of all crease these edges. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and crease, poly loop, edge loop complete, that's fine. And this one, just so I want to get this sharper edge. And then the other thing is I want this to be a bit more prominent. So what I'm going to do for that is make sure symmetry is on, which it is. And then I'm going to select, let me solo this out again. I'm going to select all of these edge vertices, and I'm just doing this kind of in Not very efficient way, but it'll work. And select all the way to here, maybe even this one too. Oops. Is that already masked? Let's try it one more time. Yep, it was. Okay, so then I'm just going to put my gizmo over here and reset it. Oops. One more time. Reset the orientation and place it over here. It's mirrored. And the reason why I'm doing it from this point over here, and I just want to make sure I'm on the point, is I like this pointy part. I don't really want to change it. But what I want to do is I want to flare this out just a tiny, tiny bit. Okay. And to do that, I'm just going to invert that mask and then just do a tiny rotation. And as you can see, I can go pretty far, but all I want to do is just a tiny bit, which is going to be a bit of a challenge because I just need to move this a tiny bit. And there's no way I can type this in, so I have to do it. The only thing is, if you are in a situation like this where you can't do minor adjustments, what you can do is you can just add a morph target. So I'm just storing a morph target and then just going out as much as, you know, like maybe to here. And then now that I have a morph target, I can just use the morph slider here to go less or more, and that kind of can give me a better way of determining what I really want here. And I'm just going to move that morph target to see what I get. And I think this is maybe a little bit too much. Let's go a little bit less to about there. That's good. All right. And I think I'm going to move the whole blade up a bit here just to kind of show that little bit of piece of area here. And this is kind of, you know, a Dragon Rider's blade. So what I'm going to do here, I mean, it's going to be a bigger kind of sword. It's not a small sword. And it's a two-handed sword, so it's got the two hands locations here. And it's also got this part here, which is like a spear, and they could just hold that part in the back and just push it into something, like if they're killing another dragon or somebody with armor and whatnot. And I've done a little bit of research on this, so I kind of know what these look like. Okay, so the blade is done. For this part, I haven't really decided what to do yet, but again, it's just a Dynamesh piece, so I might do some work on it in a little bit. And then for this part here, I want to put some sort of a handle design in there. So I'm just going to go in and choose Damien Standard brush here. And I have symmetry on X and Z, meaning whatever I do over here, for example. Make sure I'm on this specific. Actually, let me make sure I don't make any changes to this. Nope, it's fine. Okay, and go to this piece. And notice here that whatever I do gets mirrored in the back and front, as well as side to side. And what I want to do here, and I'm going to choose a different mask, is just mask an area where I want the handles to appear. So I'm just going to do this on the side, and I also want to leave some room in the middle for some text, and these would be like the areas where he would hold it, right? So, but in the center, I don't want that. So I'm just going to unmask the center part like this and create this type of a thing, maybe a little bit more masking. And I also probably will use a different material for this, so I want to separate this out as its own mesh. So I will do that with my Extract Pro Plus, not mine, but a macro that I purchased, which you can easily make yourself. It basically just does an extract and then zero meshes. So it just does a few repeated steps to do the task I'm about to do as soon as I get this mask to be, what I want it to be. Right, that's good enough. And also, I just want to make sure that don't go over the areas I don't want to go over. I think I could probably, here we go. Something like that. Don't want those sharp edges. Same thing down below here. All right, there's this piece over here which I'm wondering what it is. I'm going to find out. Okay, so it's the hilt of this sword over here, which I don't want it to protrude as much, so I'm just going to use the clip curve to just, bring it in a bit so it's not protruding off of here. It's still a little bit, but not bad. Okay, so what happened with this one there, this is the mask. I was kind of worried there that the mask got erased, but it just was because the part wasn't selected. All right, here we go. And what I'm going to do here is I've got a bit of wobble going on these edges, and the best way to fix that is I'm just going to sharpen the mask and then blur it and then sharpen it again and then blur it again and then sharpen it again, which is shrinking its size, and that's not the result I wanted. So I'm going to go all the way back to the way it was, and I'm just going to blur it once and sharpen it once. Oh, didn't do what I wanted either. All right, let's go back. I guess I'll have to manually do it. Now the thing is that it's Dynamesh, so it's not exactly symmetrical, but it doesn't matter because whatever it generates will be symmetrical when I do the extraction, and after that I'll probably do a zero mesh as well. Okay, so that's good. I just wanted to go right here, like that. Okay. So now I'll just use the Extract Pro Plus, and now I've got this separate piece separated out, and this is exactly what I want. And then, just for good measure, I'm going to mirror and weld this in X and Z. Okay, so I get a perfectly symmetric object, and then I'm just going to bring out the wireframe on it, and it's a little bit too dense. I don't need it to be this dense, so I'm just going to zero mesh it at half. Okay. And let's see what that gives us. That's good. One more time, one more time, one more time. And this is good enough. And then there's some area here where if I want to get that straight edge, I can either, align these vertices, or the other thing I'm going to do here, which is just going to be to insert. I'm going to delete some of these edges because I don't need them. So I'm just going to go down and just remove these edges, and that's making this part straight. Okay. All right, and this is more or less what I want. I'm going to go to dynamic subdivision, and for good measure add some thickness to it. And I don't want that thickness to go inwards, I just want it to go outwards, so I'm just setting the offset to 100. And that's good. Another thing I also want to do is add some segments, maybe 3 on the inside, and that will add what you'll see in a minute. Okay, so this is basically more or less what I want. Maybe not that thick. I'm going to make the thickness a bit less. Let me do something here real quick, if you don't mind. I'm going to put this on standby for a second. And I'm back. Okay, so now I have this shape, and I'm just going to go ahead and zero mesh this at same. Okay, so man, I kind of wanted to keep these curves, so I'm going to apply this, and now I'm going to zero mesh it, but I want to keep the groups, and let's detect edges too for good measure. Okay, this is exactly what I want right here. And then to get these corners here not to be sharp corners, which is what I don't want, and I don't know if is it creased. Yeah, for some reason it creased them for me, not a problem. I can uncrease them. So crease, edge loop complete. But what I'm doing is, instead of creasing, I am doing the opposite of creasing, which is holding the Alt key down, which does the opposite. Okay, for some reason I lost these internal edge loops. I can just insert them. So here's 1, 2, and 3. Okay. All right, so now that I have this shape, what I want to do is I'm going to try doing this in 2 ways. First thing I'm going to do is try and inflate it with the deformation inflate option. And I have that over here in my UI, but it's kind of over to the side, so I'll just use the menu for it. Here we go, and I think inflate is somewhere down here, and I just want to inflate it a little bit. Okay, so again, it's kind of going way too much. So again, I'm going to store a morph target and then inflate it to about maybe there, and then use the morph target slider to get it to be less, to about where I want it to be. Now what this is giving me is two things. It's making it a little bit thicker, maybe not this much, but also it's rounding out these edges on the side. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the morph here and make this a little bit less. Something like that. And want these edges to be a little bit more rounded, so I'm just going to tap it a little bit with the smooth brush. There we go. I think that will do it. And then I just want to squeeze in these parts. So I'm just doing that with regular old move. And that's good. So that basically indicates to me that there is a handle here that you can hold. I can do some other things, which I'm going to try. Maybe do a little bit of an inflate and create some kind of other indicator that somebody can use to identify that this is a place where you can hold this thing. And just a kind of very simple way of indicating that this is a handle of sorts and not, you know, part of the front part of the sword, which I'm sure if somebody's using this would not need that lesson, because they probably will have used this in some sort of a session before they handle it. But again, these kinds of things create visual interest, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that's perfect, and it's just very subtle but effective. All right. Now the other thing I also want to do is I want to add a border around this, and to do that I can do one of two things. I think I'm going to use the chisel brushes for that. So chisel, and which one is a good one? I think there's one that has a bunch of curve alpha. Yeah, let's do curve alpha. Yeah, curve alpha will work. And well, maybe not curve alpha, maybe which brush do I want? Got embarrassment of brushes here. I think it was a chisel creature, chisel organ, chisel rectangle. I think it's it's just a regular old no, the chisel won't work. Shoot, which brush am I thinking of? There's a brush that has a whole bunch of different shapes you can use, and it's some sort of a tube type of brush, but I'll find it. Extrude profile, is that it? Yes, extrude profile, that's the one I want. Okay, and that basically, I have to create a curve for these to go onto, so I'm going to solo this piece out and bring up the polyframe on it. Now what's happened is with the smoothing and everything that I did, it's kind of moved those inner curves for me, which is not what I wanted to do. But that's a problem that I can easily fix by deleting these edge loops and maybe just adding one here. It's interesting what's happening on the other side, which is not what I want. And also, for some reason, okay, this is perfect. Okay, so this side is right, and I don't know what happened to the other side, but that's an easy problem to fix by using mirror and weld. Of course, hopefully yeah, here we go. This is what I need. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this inner edge and I'm going to crease it. So crease, edge loop complete, bam, that's done. And then we're going to go back to the BE extrude profile brush. And I'm going to choose maybe this profile, and let's see what that looks like. Now the brush size could be, I forgot one other step, which is to go under curve and stroke, and I'm going to do frame mesh with creased edges. So that just basically puts a curve around it, and now I can use this brush. And that's what it looks like. I should do it without symmetry. Okay, and just want to make sure dynamic is on and does not have thickness, but just has some smoothness to it. Okay, and if I pop that on again, this is what it looks like. And I don't know if this is the look I'm going for. I'm going to turn polyframe off for now. And let's bring up the rest of the sword. And yeah, I don't know if this is the right profile. I can just switch between the profiles. So I pick a different one. So I think I did this one, which doesn't work. How about this one? Does this one work? And all I need to do is just pick the profile over here and then just tap on the curve and it will change it to that. So I'm trying to find one that makes more sense. Let's see what this one looks like. Better, but not perfect. And oh, another thing with this is I don't know if the profile is the same. So if I solo this out, you can see that it starts out thick but goes to become thin. And I just want it to be the same length. And I think that is under, I want to say it's under here. Is it under curve or is it under? Somewhere, it's a curve modifier. So it's either here, which it's not. And oh, let me look under curve. Okay, curve step. It's not there. It's not curve modifiers. Maybe. Yeah, here we go. Curve fall off. Okay, so I don't want it to fall off. I just want it to be the same size. So once I do that and click again, this is kind of doing it for me. And I'm liking this. So I think this is the one that's going to be kept. But I think it's a little bit too big. So make it smaller. I'm at 1 already. I'm pretty small. So I'm going to turn dynamic off for a minute. And make it smaller like this. Whoa, what the heck? Way too big. How about that? No, it's still going really big for some reason. Let's try it now. Okay, here we go. Now it's working. I think it was just adding another curve. All right, let's go bigger, too big. Split the difference. Getting closer to what I want. Oops. I think that works. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is delete the curves. I don't need them anymore. So go to curve functions and delete. And then also I just want to split out the unmasked points. So this is its own thing. And it's perfect. Okay, so I've created a perfect border for it, and the design is okay. Some of this is eking out, some of the underneath part. So what I'm going to do is just go to the move brush, and this is kind of irregular because it should be symmetrical. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror and weld this one. And see, that did it, but let's do the same with this one, mirror and weld X and Z. Okay, here we go. So somehow it was a little bit off from what it was before, and I'm seeing these weird things here. What are these? They have to do with this part. All right. Was some anomaly. Okay, not a problem. All right, so now I have these two, and then with this one, I might want to just give it a little bit of a smooth deformer, just to see if I get something better. So I'm just going to go to deformation here, and hit it with polish, maybe just a little bit, and just like I thought, I like this a little bit more, but maybe not as polished. So let's just give it a polish of 1. That's even too much. All right, same thing. I'm going to delete the morph target on this piece and store it, and then let's polish it. And I'm just going to use this morph deformer to get it to be as much, as much like the previous one, but a little bit curvier, something like that. Okay. And then I'm going to use move to just kind of get the intersection point here. Let's make sure symmetry is on. Get this intersection point not to be there. Okay, so this is good enough. And yeah, I might want to just erase some of these edge loops over here. So I'm gonna turn. Yeah, it's fine. And what am I insert? let's see what happens if I crease this. Oops. It's dynamic it is. Okay. I think that creates for a better shape. And there. Okay. All right, I'm spending way too much time on that one little area, but I just wanted it to be good enough. And then on this piece over here, what I'm going to do is add some text that's going down this way. So I'm going to turn X symmetry off, but Z symmetry is on, meaning whatever I do on one side will be on the other. And what I want to do is I just want to use the Damien standard, and I'm just playing around here. Probably need more resolution and a little bit more intensity. And this is just some, placeholder for some text that's going to be on the sword. Maybe the name of the person who used it the first time or something like that. Let's go back to here. And again, I'm going to put better text in there, but I'm just kind of trying out to see if it would look good in that area. And I think the problem is there isn't enough room, so I'll have to either figure out a way to have the text be bigger, or decide not to have text or have a design there. Okay. Moving on to this part, I don't know if I want to do too much here. I think this is a pretty neat shape. I might want to retopologize it at some point, but for now I'm just going to leave that be, and then I'm going to go ahead and create some sort of a base here. And for that, again, I'm going to use my primitives kit. And by the way, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about when I say my primitives kit, it is a kit that I sell on Gumroad for ZBrush and also Blender and Maya and pretty much everything else, because I mean, obviously these are made for me and for ZBrush, but there's nothing to say you can't use these in Blender or in Maya or 3ds Max or whatever tool you're using, right? So the cylindrical ones is this one, and it's mostly cylindrical shapes. And I do have a YouTube video which explains how to install it and use it. It's basically these shapes, and these are primitives, meaning the reason why they are primitives is because you can modify them to be other stuff very easily. They don't really belong to a style or a design language per se, so they're easily malleable to what you want them to do. Mostly I made these things for kind of mechanical objects, but as you can see, I can repurpose them. So this is the cylindrical one, which I'm going to be using in a few bits. And I just recently released a new one, which is my Pro Primitives loops kit. And these are basically just 185 loops that you can use. And I'll probably be using these. Again, all topology that can be easily modified. So I'll be using these pretty soon with the model we're working on. So I just thought I'd show you what these are, and later on in the stream I'll also tell you where you can get these. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and load up this kit, and then at the bottom here of the kit I've got some cylinders that are topologically a bit different. I'm going to use this one, and so to do that I'm just going to go ahead and insert a subtool into the brush. Sorry about that. Okay, so here, okay, I've got a whole dragon rider and everything. I don't want to deal with the rider right now. I just want to deal with the sword. So here, inside of the sword, I just will click on any one of these and then just go to Insert and a Polymesh 3D. There's the Polymesh 3D. Insert also selects it, which is good. And then whatever I click on here, if I'm in the move, if I see the gizmo, whatever I click in here, it will replace it with that, right? So the one I want is this one. I'm going to turn polyframe on, and it's basically this kind of diamond-shaped cylinder. right? This is the one I want, and I want to rotate it like this. And what I also want to do is make it thinner. So again, with the gizmo, if you hold Alt down and click on a part over here, you can make it thinner. So I'm just going to make it thinner here, and I think this is going to be just one of the 2 places where the person can hold it from. So I'm just going to make it smaller, try and fit it in that area. So all I'm doing is just taking that cylindrical shape and fitting it into the hilt of the sword and making it so it is the size that it needs to be to fit in between here. I put a little cylinder in here just to kind of indicate kind of where the 2 hands would be. Okay, so there's one. And what I want to do is just create another one of these. So I just hold Control and drag, and now there's another copy of it that I'm going to put here on the bottom. And this should be equidistant. If it's not exact, that's not a big deal. I think it's not exact, but that's, again, like I said, not a big deal. And move this one a little bit further down like that. Okay, so now I want to do a few things. First of all, with this one, this top one, oops, I don't want to insert more of them. So go to the move brush, and then I also want to separate these out. So split mask points. So I've got the top one and the bottom one as separate pieces. I'm going to pick the top one, and what I'm going to do is go to the gizmo, put it in the center of this object, and then use this taper function as one of the deformers in the gizmo, and just taper out the top part just a little bit like this, right? So the sword has a more tapered feel to it. That's good. And then I'm going to pick the bottom one, do the same thing, center the gizmo, and do the taper, but this time I'm going to do it from the bottom. Something like that. Okay, and now that I've got this, what I want to do next is create some areas where, and I don't know how well this is going to work, so I'm going to try it out first. I'm going to go to the Z modeler brush, and I'm going to use the split function to see if I can add a circular diamond shape, and I think that works pretty good, but I want this to be all around, or I want more of these. So what I'm going to do is turn on symmetry, but radial symmetry, and radial symmetry probably in Z. Is this working? I don't think it's working. Is it under? Yeah, it's Y. Okay, so with Y, and then what I want to do is go here. There's 8 of them, and then just create this shape. Okay, and I want to do the same thing. So I don't really have to drag it out. I just basically can go up here and tap once. Okay, so I already see there being a little problem, and that is that, okay, that needs to be done here. Okay, and then same here and here. Right, so every one of these I add is adding some extra geometry, which I don't really care about. So, but I do want these shapes. So now that I have these shapes, what I'm going to do is Q-mesh them. So Q-mesh, polygroup all, Q-mesh them out. Hold Control so it just separates it out. So basically I'm creating these separate pieces. And then I'm going to Q-mesh those separate pieces again so they have some thickness. Okay, and so now these are 2 separate things. And I'm going to go in here and split. Let's do this first. Let's just go ahead and say mask, polygroup island, or let's just mask island, the whole thing. Okay, so this is masked. And then go here and split the unmasked points. So what that's going to do is it's basically going to split out all these different things that I just took out. And then I'm going to go back to this guy and take it all the way back to before it had all those shapes. Okay, so now it kind of maintains its topology more or less. And now I've got these kind of, they're floating on top of it, but if I go in here and go to the center, I can draw them inwards, so they're kind of intersecting, not completely, but that's creating more of a handle like this, which is an interesting pattern. And then, so that's one thing I can do. I don't know if I'm too happy with doing it this way, so I'm actually going to delete these guys. I'm going to try something else. Go back to this piece right here, go to here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an inset polygroup island, I guess, yeah. And I'm going to do center and border. All right, let's see what that will work like. Okay, let me turn symmetry off for a minute. Okay, that's okay, but that's not exactly what I'm going for. I want to inset each poly, and I want to do this. Okay, so that's good. And what I also want to do now is just go in and QMesh polygroup all and QMesh these out like this. And if I press D, I get a pattern like that. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, I'm not too excited about that, but there is, I do have some more options, and one of the options is to do a Q grid. And let's see what that gives us. Something like this. For a handle, I mean, it's a bit too much. Need it to be a bit more subtle. So let me see what I got here. What if I Q-mesh these inwards? What does that look like? More or less the same. More or less something I don't really like at this point. I kind of like the more geometric look it's getting here, and I might want to accentuate that just a little bit. So I'm going to try another thing. I'm going to try using QMesh but holding shift down. I don't think this is doing it either. What about I'm going to try something else here. I'm going to press D to get this, and then I'm going to crease polygroups. So crease PG. No, that's not giving me what I want either. I mean, of everything that I've seen so far, what I like more is just this kind of low res version of it, but when I render this out, it's not going to work out right. Okay, so that kind of was a bit of a bust too, but maybe I shouldn't inset it so much. I should inset, oh, no, let's go back to inset, and I should inset it not as much, but just a tiny bit, and then maybe extract, push these out. Oh. QMesh, polygroup all, and let's just do this. Let's see what that looks like. That's interesting. And what if I do D? Okay, here we go. I think this is working more or less the way I want it to. Let's Q grid it up. That's good. And let's play around with the coverage to get it to be where we want it. And I think this kind of looks interesting, but I'm still not happy with it. And this is partially why I like working with ZBrush, is because I can design these things and try iterations and try different things to see what works right. Another thing that I just noticed is that the amount I had this taper was a bit too much on top. Luckily, I think the deformer is still there. So I can just bring that back in just a little bit. And for good measure, oops, I'm going to see if I can move this one inwards. See if that creates something better. Just to kind of be, yeah, I think that works better. All right, back to figuring out what to do with the pattern. And I'm just thinking what would be kind of a cool way to have this be. And I just thought of another thing, and that is to kind of have a spirally thing. I don't know if I want to try that, or I think I kind of like what it's doing here, more or less, where crease. I don't really have too many options for crease. Let's see here. I think part of the problem is that these diamonds are too small, and one option is to just go in here, and I'm going to try something else. Just polygroup 4 of them as one, and I wonder if that's a better option, or if I yeah, the stitch thing isn't working. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and just select these guys like so, and do a crease all. And I wonder if this is going to not crease the stuff that's masked, so I'll have to try that. So crease all, yeah, that worked. And now if I press D for dynamic subdiv, what does that look like? I'm getting a little bit of what I want. But not exactly what I want. Okay, so, I mean, I just want it to look the way, the problem is I just want it to kind of have this type of a thing where, you know, it's not going to, the hand is not going to slide on it. I think my problem is that the kind of the diamond shapes are too small. So I'm going to use a different strategy here, which is to mask every other one of these. And let's go back to the gizmo here. I'm going to accept this. I think it's good enough, the tapering. Go to the gizmo and do this. So now basically what I have, and let's invert the mask, and I'm just going to expand these out. I think I'm getting exactly what I want here, which is, yeah, I want a little bit of this shape, but I also want some sort of gradation just to indicate that the person can hold the sword there. In this case, it makes sense to go in and take this cylinder and make it a little bit wider. Also, I want to copy this thing and put a copy of it on top here as a border. Maybe not as thick as the middle one, but maybe something like this, just kind of as a border for it. Okay, good. And then press D. Okay, that looks good. This looks good as well. Let me make this one just a smidge thicker. Okay, and let's pick this one. I'm going to go to its taper again and taper the top to match what I have over here. Okay, that's good. And it's good on the bottom as well. And then let's bring up the polyframes on it. And I think I selected, I'm going to try and do the same thing I did up there. Hopefully it's not a problem. So I think, I forget how many of these I selected. It looks like I selected top diamonds and the bottom diamonds. So I selected these guys. Oops, let me go to it. I selected these guys like this. And I did the same with these ones. Okay, invert that, press W. I'm going to accept this taper as well. And do this to it. Okay. And I think this is kind of the design I want for the handle, which has a little bit of that, you know, kind of diamond shape, but not too much of it. And it created a nice little I don't know what just happened there. All right, something very, oh, I clicked on the expose button. That's too funny. All right, here we go. There it is, and it's okay. So I want to do something else here, which is apply a little bit of color. So I'm just going to launch my Z color plug in here, and maybe choose just a little different shade of gray for these pieces. So I'm just gonna fill object, then go to this one, fill object as well, and then go back to the original colors, just so I have a little bit of a different variation of color. I think I did that with the blade too. And the blade, I want to kind of change its color as well to maybe a lighter orange, something like this. Fill object. Okay, let's go back to white. Okay, so I've got my blade a different color, and I've got my hilt here a different color as well. All right, so what else can I do to this sword? I think what I want to do is I want to add a little kind of thing in the bottom here, so that it can be, you know, you can hang it somewhere if you need to sharpen it or whatnot. And for that, I am going to use my new loops and rings tool, or IMM brush. And what I'm going to do here is find a nice, I think this one will work. So here, let's insert a polymesh 3D, something like that, and replace it with this loop. Okay, of course, way too big, but I need to resize it. Let's center this and center it in the world and bring it up to over here. Way too big again. Make that smaller. Now, a lot of people don't know, but with swords, this bottom part is a part that you hold. So I don't know if this is a good idea for me to put something here that will kind of not make it easy for him to, you know, cup it from the bottom and hold it. So I think I might forego this thought. I'm going to do it anyway, just to kind of show off what you can do with my kit here. But let's say what I want to do is put another loop at the bottom of this. So I'll just find one that makes sense. Maybe something like this one. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing here. Insert a polymesh 3D and change it to this shape. Again, a couple of things to do first is I'm going to, where is it? There it is. I think the size, it might have come in on the right size. So I'm just going to rotate this, move it down. There it is. And I'm just going to rotate it like, oops. That. And I'm going to center this as well in the world and just bring it back down. All right, so it would just be something like this at the bottom of the sword. Now, this, you know, looks cool, but it's not feasible because, again, like I said, the person's going to be holding the sword from there. Also, my kit bash kit, you can add some thickness to it. So like this ring here looks too thin. And there's a certain threshold of deformation and inflate that you can apply to it. I mean, obviously that's too much, but you could go maybe about that much, right? I think a little bit too much too. Again, if you are having trouble finding the exact distance that you want, you can always store a morph target and then inflate it to whatever you want. Let's make sure we're going in the right direction, maybe to there. Oops. And obviously this is way too much. Let's go smaller. Something like that, and then you can just use the morph to just get it to be where you want it to be, which is there. All right, I'm going to let this auto-save and then get back to working on it in a few seconds. right. All right, there we go. All right, so now I can just move this and place it over here. But as I mentioned earlier, this is not a design that's going to work just because of the functionality of the bottom of the sword. So, you know, I thought it would be cool, but I don't think I'm going to use it. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this as well. All right, and I think I'm not really going to do anything to the bottom here. I think it looks good the way it is. And that same shape is on top here, which is kind of creating a nice little difference. Let me see if I could push it up or down, if that makes a difference. To there, I think that's good. Maybe a little bit more. All right. So that's that. Okay, so we're done with this part. We're done with the handle and this. Well, one more thing I want to do here is I also want to create another one of these for the bottom. And what's really cool about this is I can add a different material to it and it will look much, much better. Okay, there it is. What I want to do with this also is just taper this part in just a smidge, like that. Activating symmetry. I'm going to activate radial symmetry on Y for this, and just smooth. Oops. Oh, I forget these are very low res. I guess what I could do to do what I want to do is just delete this edge loop over here. So insert. When I want to delete an edge loop, I usually use the insert to delete it, which is cool because then it just is loading it up to. I most probably will be inserting an edge loop rather than deleting edge loops, so it kind of sets it up for my next step. Okay, so this is good. The base is good. A lot of times people use these as the kind of the edges of this part over here as a weapon as well, so they can stab with it. So I'm going to sharpen the edges of it, which is going to be an interesting challenge. How do I do that? I guess the best way to do it is just to add a shape to it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of cylinders, and I'm going to use my primitives kit for that. So again, insert, Polymesh 3D, and then go to my primitives, choose a cylinder, maybe something like this. Okay, and let's center. Now this thing is really, it's not showing up. That's just because it's too small. I'm just going to unify it, and now it's too big, but I can resize it. When I unify it, it kind of will be within the parameters of what I'm working on. And then what I'm going to do is rotate this way. I'm going to select all of these back edges and then bring this to a point. Select this as well, bring this to a sharp point. Something like that. And then bring this in. Okay, I'm just creating like a sharp point for this, and then I can just take this whole thing, resize it, move it down over to here. Get a bit thinner. So I'm just basically creating a point, like a stab kind of point for it. And I'm going to take the same thing and mirror it and weld it to the other side. And yeah, that looks pretty menacing. Turn symmetry on and move this in a little bit and out. Okay, the angle is still not exact. There we go. All right, so now that this is the shape I want it, then I need to worry about the transition of it with the other piece. And I think I'm going to leave it at that, but there is a little bit of this protruding out, and I can fix that. Let me make sure I'm happy with what I got. I think this is pretty good. Okay, so now move to the move brush and just nudge that part in. Okay, that's good. All right, I think we're getting pretty close to getting what we want. The only thing I want to do is maybe put a pattern. So I'm going to put a pattern on this part here, a decorative pattern, and also revisit the text here. And to do that, I'm just going to use my alpha brush. So here, let me just go and get it. AK mesh mech stamp. Okay, and then I'm going to do a drag rectangle, and I don't want this alpha. I want to import some other alphas from my library here. So let me get those real quick. ZBrush alphas, and let's go to ornaments, and I've got some seamless border patterns. Here we go. This one will work really well, and I'm just going to pick a few here. Let's start with this one. Move on to this piece. Now this piece, like I said earlier, is a dynameshed piece. And is it dynameshed? I guess it's zero meshed. Okay. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to re-zero mesh it. Same. Well, let's go to half. Why not? Okay. One more time. One more time. One more time. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just go all the way to there, and I'm going to subdivide it a few times. Okay, and then I want that initial shape that I had, so I'm just going to go to the place where it had that initial shape, which I think is about here. Right? Okay, and what I want to do is I want to project this shape onto the new one. So what I'm going to do is hold Control down, click on here, and that basically creates a history point. And then I'm going to go to here, and I'm just going to go to project under, there it is, and project history. Let's see if that works. And there it is. So I have my topology with the different levels, but I also have the shape that I had before. Right? And I don't need this anymore. I can turn that off by control clicking on it and just moving to the final shape of this thing. Okay, and then let's bring the rest of the sword up. And then with this brush, what I want to do is just create, whoa, it's super, super strong. Let's go down in intensity to there. Still too strong, even to there. Okay, now we're talking. Maybe a little bit more. Let's try 10. All right. This pattern that I picked is a little bit too floral, so I'm going to pick something else. Here we go. Let's try this one. This is good, but maybe I want to invert this alpha. Thing is, I like the way it looks, but I don't know what's happening to it at a certain point. seems like only when I get to this size that it really, and I think this is good enough. Let me try and see if I can replicate what I did here. It did work, but maybe all right. Also, I don't know if I need 6 subdivision levels on this, so I'm just going to go back to 5, which puts it at 691,000 polygons. I mean, that's a lot for small of a shape. And okay, this is good. I'm just going to hit it with smooth real quick. And as a matter of fact, what I should be doing before I even do this stuff is storing a morph target so I can get back to it. And let's do this again. I don't know if the alpha being inverted is doing what I want, so I'm going to invert it back. And I'm getting some really interesting patterns with this alpha. But I'm also challenged at kind of the placement of it. I wonder if it would be better if I did the drag dot on this. Yeah, I think this will work better. Could probably bump up the intensity as well. All right, with drag dot, it's a little bit more difficult to get things to be exactly where you want them to be. All right, I'm going to use a completely different strategy, which is using I just want to make sure symmetry isn't on, and I will use I will load this up onto Spotlight, and I don't know why this isn't working. Oh, because it needs to be texture. Okay, make texture. There it is. And I'm going to turn alpha off. And I'm just going to load this up into here. Way too big. Make it smaller. Okay. And what I want to do is I wonder if this is going to work. I don't know if this is the right brush. Let me go ahead and just choose standard brush or something like that. Layer brush, maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Let's start out with standard, see what we get. Nope, that's not doing it. Okay, so I do have symmetry on with X and Z, so maybe not X, but just Z. So it does in the front and the back. And it is on, and I think spotlight projection should be on as well. And just go over it like this. All right, I'm getting what I want. I just am not getting it exactly the way I want it. So one other thing I want to do is I want to turn off these guys. I don't want to see them because they're in the way. I'll turn them on afterwards again once I'm done with it. Okay, let's bring this back up. Okay, so maybe with this, what I want to do is do drag rectangle here. I'll just put this where I want it to go. Let's start it with it being over here. Okay. Then I'm going to move it over to here.
This is tricky because it wants to snap at that center, so I got to be very careful on how to place it. Is it. No, I can't do it with the keyboard, so I just have to be very precious about how I move this to maybe to here like that. Okay, then I'll just do the same thing. I don't know if this is working for some reason. That's interesting. Just decided not to do it anymore. Okay, standard brush, drag rectangle, activate symmetry. Oh, did I not do it? I did. Okay, so not radial, but oh, am I not on the right? I'm not on the right thing. Okay. All right, we're back. We're good. I just was on I was on another part of the model for some reason. Okay. I did store and morph target, right? I did. Yes, good. Okay. And then one more. All right, let's see if I morph this back to normal. Yeah, it's not even. Okay. So I do like what I'm doing. It's just it's not doing it the right way. So what I'm going to do with the alpha here, and I think there might be a different way to do this with stencils. I might opt to do it that way. But what I'm going to do here is, let me see, is there a way to have the alpha repeat? No. Okay. So I'm going to do it with the stencil. Let's see if I remember how to use this thing. Stencil, and let's go ahead and do the alpha. Okay, so alpha, this guy, and stencil from alpha. Okay, this alpha. All right. And I think there's this coin that brings up, and there is a scale option, so I can scale it down. And then there's this. Oh, is it moving the whole thing? It is moving the whole thing. Okay, move this to where I want it to go, to here. And I think there's a way to have it repeat as well, if I remember correctly. So scale, rotate, move. And I think it's under stencil, and there is a actual wrap mode. Let's do wrap mode, why not? Okay, and then I think there was a way to have this repeat. And I forget, is it stretch? No. Okay, I don't know how to change it back now. Stencil, interactive. Oh, alpha repeat, it's right here. All right, I figured out what I wanted to do, but then I messed this up quite a bit. So I'm going to do stencil here and from alpha again. Let's choose it. And spacebar. Is there a thing to reset this thing? Okay, I think maybe wrap is the issue too. So wrap mode off. Okay, here we go. Back to normal. I'm just going to scale it down. And then just move it. Oops. To where I want it to go, like right here. Okay, and now I'm going to go into stencil and repeat alpha. Oh, it's repeating it inside the box. Well, this might work. Okay, this might work. This might work. I just need to scale this up. just move. I just want one of these strips to basically be on the model. So about there, like that. Okay, so now if I'm correct in my thought here of how to do this, alpha off, and I just need like a layer brush and put it in rectangle mode, no alpha, and then I think I should just, yep, here we go. Perfect. Okay, that is good. All right, and I do have symmetry on, and now I'm just going to turn the stencil off, and I get what I want. Of course, it is way too harsh. Way too harsh, but I do have a morph target, so now the morph target will work exactly the way I want it, which is just want it to be there. Ooh, look at that. All right, and then I just want to drop a little bit of a polish on it. I'm going to do that with the deformation and just one level of polish. Maybe one more. A few more. Okay, that's good. Okay, so that basically created that neat shape for me over here. And now I just want to bring up these rings. I think one of these rings has an issue. This one. I don't know why. Let me look at it again. Yeah, one of these guys just developed some weirdness to it. Maybe the top one as well. So is one of them? Okay. So what I'm going to do here is look at the wireframe on it. Oh, okay. Why are these? Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with these guys. Okay. Are they dynamic? They are. Let's go back out of dynamic. Yeah, I don't know where this edge wobble came from, but that's easily fixed. So what I want to do here is I just want to duplicate this, so I have a copy of it. And then with that copy, I just want one of these guys. So I'm just going to hide and delete all the other ones. Pick the one that I want to fix. I think I picked the wrong one to fix. I think I should choose one of these guys. I'll pick this one. All right, so the best way to do this to get these edges to be straight, and I don't know if there's like weird jump. No, there isn't. Okay. So I'm just going to go in here and go under geometry and loops, edge loop, and I'm just going to see what this does. Oh no. Okay. All right, cool. It didn't crash. I'm just going to save. Whew. It's a good thing that it didn't crash. I mean, I did save earlier, but I would have lost some work, and this helps me. All right, so now that as soon as it's done saving, I will straighten out these edges. Okay, it's done. I'm going to straighten them out by just using the clip curve on the top here, and I'll straighten out those edges. And then I don't know why I decided to keep these two edge loops, but I can easily delete them. All right, and let's do this. All right, perfect. Okay, let's turn dynamic back on. No smoothing, but definitely some thickness. And I don't know why there's weird coloring over here. Let's make sure it's all the same polygroup. And for good measure, let's make sure it's symmetric as well. Okay, good. So now that I have this shape, now I can add some smooth subdivisions to it. All right, so this is the shape I want. Now what I got to do is just make sure that I have the same thickness as what I had before, more or less, and then just make copies of it. So that's why I kept the older one, just so I know where the placeholders are to place these new ones, right? This one can go over here, and then one goes over here. And last but not least, I should put one down at the end over here that's going to be bigger. Something like that. Okay, so I'm going to delete the older ones just for kicks. Should be right above it. These are the wonky ones, right? Yep. And these are gone, and the good ones are there. All right, something weird is happening where either this is not symmetrical or this is not symmetrical. I think this is not symmetrical, but easily fixed. Let's do a mirror and weld in X on that. Okay, let's do it with this. Okay, now we are golden. The only thing now is that whatever I did with this thing, with the stencils, made it smaller, right? So what I need to do here is turn symmetry off for a minute, go to the center, and I need to make this bigger. Maybe just wider. Right. Still, I'm thinking that this is a little bit too... let me look at it as solo. Okay. I think there's just, the texture is still a little bit too harsh, so I'm going to see if I can soften it up. I'm going to try and do a different type of polish, maybe polish crisp edges. Or another thing I can also do is, does this thing have subdivision levels? I thought it did. Oh no, I applied this to the Dynamesh, didn't I? It did ask me. Oh, man, that sucks. Okay. Well, what I could do is I could zero measure it at half. I think this is kind of, you know, I should have saved before I did this. Okay, not a problem. Let's see what happens. I did just save earlier, so it won't be that bad if this thing crashes. But I'm zero meshing this, and it's got a lot of complex shapes, so it might choke. Let's see what happens. I think I'm just going to hit escape. Okay, yeah, so good thing I was able to abort that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, shoot, I'm going to have to do this all over again, which is fine. I'm just going to take it down to here. By some way, I clicked up here, and I shouldn't have, is what happened. So this is what I have. And this does have the subdivision levels. Oh, did it lose the subdivision? It did at some point. It lost it here. I don't know why. All right, let's move back to here. Okay, this is going to be less of a headache than I thought. Okay, there we go. So now I've got my subdivision levels. I'm just going to go down one subdivision level and just smooth this out. I'm going to just do it with my brush. Let's turn symmetry on so it happens on both sides. And I'm going to do this to it. I think what happened is maybe it lost its subdivision levels when I did a mirror and weld. Is that what happened? Let's see. Yeah, I think that's what happened. Okay, so I'm going to do it again, mirror and weld 2, and let's see if it loses. Yeah, it does lose its subdivision levels. Okay. All right, so I don't want it to lose the subdivision levels, so I'm going to use another strategy with it. Turn symmetry off for now. Go to the center of it and do this to it, which basically centers it. And let's see if this can work now. And just push this back up. to here. Okay, so it kind of does, kind of doesn't, but I know how to fix it. Right, I just want to get this in the right place, just about there. And then I'm just going to use clip curve to hit this down a bit. Let's see what we get. Okay, not exactly what I thought I would get, but it's getting there. All right, so I'm just going to start here. It has to be at a bit of an angle. Right. Just a little bit more. Okay, I don't know why it didn't do it on the other side. And it was a bit too much. Okay, do I have symmetry on? Okay, let's turn it on. All right, try this one more time. Okay. All right, that's perfect. Okay, so now I've got that shape going on, and I do have it exactly the way I want it. All right, so that's good. And so this piece here is just to reinforce the sword, because if this was just the blade that came here, I think if you apply a lot of pressure on it, it might break. It's still like this is kind of the dangerous area of the sword, but I think it's got enough of a backing. So there would be, what happened here? Oh, I did that on one side, didn't do it on the other. That's weird. Okay. Yeah, that's weird that this did not do the same thing. Okay, that's the same thing. Okay. All right, I'll just do it separately over here. Doesn't matter. Not that big of a deal. Okay, that works. All right, so what I want to do here is add some kind of bolts or something to reinforce it. And I'm just kind of thinking, okay, this is not the same on both sides. So I want to create symmetry on both sides. Now, if I do the mirror and weld, that's going to get rid of my... if I do mirror and weld, that's basically going to get rid of my subdivision levels, which I don't want to do. Have I already gotten rid of them? I have gotten rid of them. I don't know how, but I did. Let's go back to when they are there. Okay, so this is where I have subdivision levels, and this is where it's not the same on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to do this first. I'm just going to mask the side that works, which is this top part, without symmetry. And this is going to be an interesting adventure to see if it does work. Okay, so there it is. This is masked, so this is what I want to have happen on the other side here, which is kind of protruding. And I'm going to use the smart resim or resim and resim on Z and not X. This one more time. Resim on Z. Okay, that did not do it. Let's see if Smart Resim does it. Smart Resim on Z. It's taking longer, which is a better sign. And hopefully what we're going to see in a few minutes is this side being the same as this side, the mask side. Right. Looks like it is doing something. We can see by the bar up here. countdown. I wonder if this would have gone better if I was at a lower resolution, but I'll give it its time. I mean, it's 691,000 polygons. It's not a lot. All right, I think this is kind of a weekend where a lot of people are away. I just noticed that I've actually had 0 people logging into this Twitch stream. But again, I always do these because I know I can tape them and put them on YouTube. I'm, again, sorry for not doing last week's. But I'm pretty sure this one will be on as episode 4. All right, the smart resim is taking its sweet time, but it's worth it because it's a lot of work otherwise. I guess what I could do is I could separate this thing out into 2 separate pieces, but I think I'll lose the subdivision levels anyway. And the reason why I want to keep the subdivision levels is because I might want to do some modifications to it, or maybe create a normal map for that part. Okay, we're still crunching. I know it's not crashed because this is moving. I did see it move a little bit, so it just is. I think it's doing its last bit here. I guess we can play the Jeopardy music or something while we're waiting. I wonder how intense the calculation is going on right now to do that symmetry. I mean, it's got to be, like, if it's 691 points, 1,000 points, so it's probably calculating symmetry on 3,000 of those, or 300,000 points. So it's a process, but let's see if it does it successfully. Come on. I guess I should check Task Manager to see how. Oh wow, yeah, no, it's churning. It's not taking up too much memory, but it is definitely squeezing a lot out of the processor. So, all right. Yeah, it's kind of along the same lines, going back and forth, so it should get there. I guess I could press escape to cancel. All right, I think I'm going to do that because this might be like, it might be one of those things where it did all this work and like towards the end here, it's going to really, I'm going to wait for it. I think it'll cancel out. So one of 2 things is going to happen here. It's either going to escape out of it, which does give me the option to do it here with the escape key, or the other thing that can happen, which would be undesirable, of course, is that if it crashes. But even then, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Come on. All right, I guess we have to wait anyway. I think this is the problem with when you have a job and you're giving a day rate or an hourly rate or whatever. Like, you have to take into consideration that there will be times like this where things don't work out because of whatever, and you have some downtime waiting or having to redo the whole thing. So in the meantime, my cat has decided to join us. Hello. She's always bewildered when I'm streaming because I've got all these lights on and, the green screen and all that. All right, come on, ZBrush. It's still churning away, so... But what's interesting is that somehow it flushed the RAM, the memory that it's using, which is very strange. Oh, come on. I don't want to cry. I don't want to close it just because there is a chance that it will come back. I guess I'll give it another 2 minutes. Yeah. All right, going once, going twice. I guess I'm just going to kill the program and restart it. What a frustrating thing. All right, not a problem. It happens, and this will create an opportunity for me to maybe do something a little bit better. And I don't know, I think when you do that stencil thing that I did, I think what happened there is it somehow determined that I mean the stencil in the front and it doesn't get mirrored on the back for some reason, even though I did have activate symmetry on, so it does the exact same pattern on the back and does it in the negative. It's so funny. It's like they're all these different tools, but they all have their capabilities and their caveats, and I guess I hit a caveat with this one. Not a problem. All right, here we go. Oh, we're back to this. Okay. Did it do, is the question, did it do? So we have kind of the bad version of this, which I'm going to use a different method this time around. But do I have the, no, I don't, do I? Let's see here. Oh yeah, so I guess it's just before I did that. Not a problem. This was easy enough to do. We'll do it again. So go over to this. Let's turn on symmetry. I'm going to mirror and weld this thing in X and Z just before I do this, just so I know I have a symmetrical model. Okay, and then, oops, I want to do the clip curve on it. And I'm just going to do a shortcut here, and instead of doing the whatever, I'm just going to do a slice curve this way. And just pick this part, delete hidden, right, and then just go to the center of this thing without all the symmetry stuff, and make it the same size as what we had before. Something like that, and let's go ahead and turn dynamic on for it. Okay. And with dynamic, I have to add more to the thickness, and that's about where I want it to be. Maybe not that wide, so I'm going to make it come in a bit. Now, yeah, to about there, and then I'm going to turn transparency on and just make copies of it with the control key to be at the same place that I had the previous ones. And then an extra one down here. Right, and this extra one is going to be a little bit thicker. Turn transparency off so it has the correct thickness. I guess I do have one down there. I do have one down there. Okay, so I don't really even need this one. Okay, so let me see what we got here. Right, we got all of them. That's good. This is good, and then this one is gone. Okay, bring everything back. All right, so now I got to solve that same problem that caused the crash earlier, which is I want to take this one And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do this, turn off symmetry, put this in the center, move this in to where it, okay, so this is kind of what I wanted to have, more or less. So this side, this side is the side I want to emulate on the other side. Okay, so I'm just going to solo this out. And the way I'm going to solve this problem is by well, first things first, I'm going to duplicate this piece so I have a copy of it. Okay. All right, and then so I'm just going to hide the initial one, and so now this is a copy. And then what I want to do is do a delete by symmetry, but do a delete by symmetry in Z. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. I forget that this thing has multiple subdivision levels. Okay, so not a problem. I'm going to mirror and weld it in Z. First of all, I'm going to delete all the lower subdivision levels. Okay, so no subdivision levels on the below here, which is good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a delete by symmetry in Z, and of course let's see if it does the right side. It did. Okay, good. So now I just basically have this piece, and then I'm going to mirror and weld it in Z. All right, so that basically gives me what I want. However, I've lost my subdivision levels, but not a problem. What I'm going to do here is, I think I could use to make it just a little bit thinner here. Yeah, okay. And then what I'm going to do to get my subdivision levels back is I'm just going to, well, I don't need that other one I have a copy of. I'm going to delete that one. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate this one and solo it, right? And then, do I have the morph target still? Oh, I do, but look at how I'm going to delete it. It's all wonky. And what we want to do is we want to take this and we want to create subdivision levels with it. So first of all, I'm just going to check to see if this is okay. It is. And then I'm just going to zero mesh it at half. And let's see if this works quickly. I think we tried to do this before, but it had issues. Okay, not a problem. I'm just going to do this. And what I'm going to do here is try and reduce the poly count on this somehow. And the way to do that is, well, I'm going to try like the initial easy way of doing it, which is reconstruct. That's not going to work. Okay. Then I'm just going to go ahead and dynamesh it at a lower resolution. Let's see what the resolution here is. Wow, it's all the way there. So I'm going to go to low resolution dynamesh it. Okay, so now I'm just going to get like crappy topology, which doesn't matter, but I have the general shape. And then I'm going to zero mesh this at half. Okay, so now I've got the shape that I want, more or less. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and polish it. Yeah. Hey, Clithgar, how's it going? Yeah, we're almost done here, but not a problem. What you could do is you can always watch this. I'm going to have it recorded. Last week's something happened where I couldn't get it on YouTube, so I'm redoing the sword. I'm doing another copy of the sword. Okay, so here we go. We have this, and then just to make sure that this is symmetrical, I'm going to mirror and weld it in Z. Okay, so it wasn't. So I'm just going to make it a little bit wider here, mirror and weld it in Z. It's still not where I want it to be. Okay, so if you run into this problem, what you could do is you can just delete this middle edge loop. Right, so now if you mirror and weld it in Z, you're not going to have those kind of little areas. Okay, so this is, oh, what the heck? So when I deleted this, did it create that weird gap? Yeah, why did it do that? Let's just do a fixed mesh on this. I don't know if there were any points that were kind of, yeah, that's weird. Why is it doing that? That's so strange. Okay, some weird thing is happening to it over here. All right, not a problem. Oh, I know why. I know why. Because this tip is kind of not symmetrical. That's why. Okay, not a problem. Let's go back. One more to here. Let's see if this is symmetrical by any chance. I don't think it is. Okay, one more to there. Is this symmetrical? No. Okay. So the way to overcome this problem is I'm just going to select this half like this. No, that's not going to work either. All right. How to solve this problem? How to solve this problem? How to solve this problem? I think the way to do it is this. I'm just going to select, this is what's causing the problem, like the tip. Just the tip is causing the problem. So I'm just going to delete that. And now I'm basically getting closer to what I want. Now I can delete this edge loop. Okay, now I can mirror and weld in Z. Now I've got something symmetrical. And then I just have to cap this other part. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to go in here and do a close hole. And I can do this in one of two ways. I'm going to use the Z modeler to do it, but I can also do it from the menus. Okay. And now this is not really good topology, but I'm going to do another zero mesh with keep groups. And that basically is going to give me two groups. And even though this is not what I want it to be, if I do a mirror and weld in Z, it will be. Okay. I guess not. No, 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 no. Okay. So what if I should do the mirror and weld here first? Okay. Now, and then zero mesh it. I'm going to do a mirror and weld in X and Z just for kicks. Excuse me, and then just zero mesh it at same, keep groups, detect edges, and still not what I want. Oh, that's why. All right, we're golden now. Okay, so now I've got what I want, and I've got the low res mesh. I can have it all be the same polygroup. And now what I want to do is get a projection of the other one onto here. So I'll just go over to another view here, turn these two on. Not this one, these two. Okay, on solo. All right, so then what I want to do here is I want to, whoa, what is all this other stuff? Why is this part of that? Oh, it's because I probably have that on over here. We don't need to see those. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to take this low res mesh and I want to project this onto it. Okay, that's good. And then subdivide, project, subdivide, project, and subdivide one more time. Project. I think I could do one more, but I think this does do what I need. So we're at 181,000 points, which is a lot less than what we had before, and we do have subdivision levels, and it's basically exactly what we had before. So good, good, good. We can get rid of the one that's the, you know, the problem child, I guess. Delete this one. And we are left with the good one, and let's bring everything back. Okay, good. See, now it's symmetrical on both sides, and yeah, I think this is pretty good for the sword. One thing I noticed is that I need these to be sharp, but I don't know if I need them to be that sharp. Select this one. Okay, so this sharpness is good, but I don't know if I want it to be that sharp. I'm just going to select that edge, W. Hopefully the gizmo is in the right place. Of course not, but not a big deal. Since I'm using my own kit bash kit and it is symmetrical, I know I can just do this. And that's exactly where I would want it to be, in the center of this, right there. And then I can do this to it. Okay, everything else is good. It's just I don't want it to be this sharp. Okay, so the reason why this is happening is because it doesn't have local symmetry on. Let's turn local symmetry on. Okay, then now it is happening. The only thing is, I don't know if the other side is going to be good, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to be good. Look at the other side. It's like it did something completely wonky, but not a problem. I'll just mirror and weld the correct side to the, and hopefully this is, let's just unmask this, mirror and weld. What is going on? All right. Oh, it's because it's, do that all the way to here and turn local symmetry off, mirror and weld in X. No. Okay. And now we have what we want. All right. So this is it. Which one are you talking about, Clithgar? Zero mesh, which one? Turn symmetry on, zero mesh what? The thing I was working on earlier or now? Or this thing? I don't want to zero mesh this because it's kind of got the low level topology, or, you know, it's got minimal resolution, and I kind of want to keep it at that. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with the sword, and we've got about 10 minutes. Let's do a render with it. I'm going to do a quick save just so I don't lose any of this work. And another thing I just thought of is I want a little bit of a border on this thing that I just made in the middle here. So I'll do that next. And then we'll do a render. I can go a little bit over. I don't have to end exactly at 9. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's always a million ways to do the same. Well, not a million, but there's many ways to do the same thing. I get what you're trying to do. Okay, so what I want to do is, you see how this is kind of blending in to the blade, and I want to create some sort of a better definition between the two. So I'm going to use the same trick I did earlier. I'm going to duplicate this part. Okay, and with the duplicate, I'm just going to turn on this and then go down in subdivision levels to something like this. Now, this is still pretty wobbly, so I'm just going to polish it. Cancel this, and then go here to deformation, and just apply a little bit of polish to it so I can get this. And all I'm after is I'm after an edge here. So I'm just going to try and make this a little bit thicker, and I think the edge I want is this one right here. So I'm just going to pick that edge, and there's still a little bit of wobble on that, but I think I can solve that. But first, let's crease it. So the first thing I want to do is crease that edge loop, not the edge, but the whole loop. Edge loop complete. Like that. Okay, so now I've got that, and it's going all the way around. Okay, so I've got that edge, and then I'm going to put a curve on that edge. But before I do that, I want to straighten things out a bit. I think I could do that with just a little bit of a relax. No, I think that went too far, did it? Oh, I don't need the higher subdivision levels. And then just relax just a little bit. And that basically relaxes the curve. So now I've got the curve where I want it to be. And then I'm going to go back to that extrude profile brush, BE, extrude profile. Oh, and let's put a curve on that creased edge. So curve, stroke, curve. And let's do this here while we're thinking about it. And let's also go to where is this bit of business? Curve modifiers, curve functions, and just creased edges. There it is. Okay, so now that I've got that curve, let's see. Let's add this. Let's see what this looks like. Way too big. But I also am in dynamic, so I just need to make this a lot smaller. Here we go. Still too big. All right, let's see what that looks like. Not too bad. Let me turn polyframe off. And yeah, I think I'm getting there. And I don't know if I like it kind of going up here this way, but I can fix that easily. And then why did it decide to go this way over here? And the curve clearly, oh, let me turn symmetry off. Let me see, I think that's what caused that. Okay, a little bit better. Maybe I need it to be a bit bigger there. And let's try some different shapes here. I'm just trying some different shapes just to see what works better. What about this one? Yeah, I think this works. This works best. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, I think this is the winner. So winner, winner, chicken dinner. We will accept it by just clicking on the shape here. That deletes the curve for me, and I don't really need the mask points, so split mask points. And I'm going to delete that. I guess I can just hide it for now. I might need it again. This one. Okay, so I've got that border and it looks okay, and it's got that funky thing happening over here, which I can also see if I can fix. Is this a separate piece? Please be a separate piece. It is. Awesomeness. Okay. What I want to do is select these pieces over here. Please tell me these are different too. Nope. I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing that's happening. Maybe I shouldn't fight it as much and keep it the way it is. Let me try something. I'm going to use the inflate brush and just inflate this a bit. See if I get something interesting. No, it didn't give me what I wanted, and that's weird. Okay, let me see if I can get these yeah, I think that's its own thing, because this is not, yeah, that's another weird. And also it's not symmetrical, so I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do some things, and let's first of all bring up the polyframe for it. Okay. What I'm going to do is just delete all of this. Oops. continue to do that. This is kind of the problem area. So I guess I just have to lose some more polygons, which is fine. Okay, and delete that junk. And also I want to mirror and weld this so I have the same thing on both sides, because like this one side is okay, but this other side decides to have these weird kind of wonky things. So let's just make sure mirror and weld X and Z. Okay. It did the opposite of what I wanted. So the solution to that is you do mirror this way and then mirror and weld X and Z. Now I got what I want. Okay. There are some open ends over here, which I'm not too happy about, so I'm just going to close those. It's going to add wonky geometry in there, but I don't care at this point. Because I can just zero mesh it, same, keep groups, symmetries on, zero mesh. Okay. Wow. It really did a number on that. Okay, so what if I do, I mean, I could, you know, close these topologically, and maybe I'll do that. Oh, it's going to be a pain in the butt, but I'll do it. I'll do it. Okay, so bridge edges, this to this, and this to this. Now the problem I'm having is the brush size is too big just because of the scale of this thing. I could scale it up and scale it back down, but I think I'm going to be able to get away with doing it what I'm doing without this being a problem. Is it doing it everywhere? It is. Okay, good. So I just have to do one of these and then the others will be fine. Okay, and then these ones, and then this one, and this one, and then just put an edge loop in the middle here, single edge loop at half, okay, and then just bridge the, oops, and do the same thing this way. I think did I inadvertently do something? Yeah, here we go. Okay, and let's just make sure everything is good. Okay, that's good. Oh, that's weird. Okay. What just happened? Okay. Oh, I went to another subtool. Jeez. All right. I think I should be good. I think this should be okay. And oh, I moved the canvas as well. All right. Let's see if I can get it back. Let's go to actual. All right. Here we go. All right. I think this should be fixed. It is. Okay. Good. 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 All right. I've got triangles there, but I'm not really too worried about that. I guess I could delete them. Let's do let's be, oh man, okay. I'm glad I checked this because it did not do, somehow I undid the last bridging from here to here. I think I might have hit undo one too many times. Okay, and the thing I was talking about is this edge, I don't need it, so I'm just going to delete it. This is like me being very, very topologically, I guess, what? Let me just bridge these guys too. Okay, I think this is good enough. And then I'm just going to hit this whole thing with a little bit of a smooth to get this type of shape. Whoa, what's going on here? Something is weird. Oh, I see what I did. So I don't know if you guys can see, but inside here I added this face. So I need to go back in time so that doesn't happen. All right, now smooth it again. Okay, now it's good. Okay, so if I hit dynamic, I get that. That's okay. And let's bring the rest of the sword up. Okay, so the border is working pretty good on most of it, except it gets to the tip over here. And we can fix that. First of all, by bringing this out a bit. Just bringing this one in. I don't know if I need this big of a brush. And I don't know if I need the pattern at the end here. I'm just going to H polish it to a flat area. And then just end this way. All right, so now I've got that working and we're good. Let's do the render, and then it's like playing Operation. Yeah, yeah, true. Okay, so I'm going to do the render now, and to do that, I'm just going to pick some materials. So I'm going to pick the blade, and let's do redshift. Why not? I should save this. I'm going to save it before I do the render. All right, I'll save it, and then what we'll do is we'll start assigning some materials and then do a redshift render to see what we get. All right, I'm going to turn redshift on. And I'm going to choose a redshift material. Let's choose rough metal, and rough metal will take into consideration the colors that I have, which really are not that much different. And I don't know why this is taking this long, but I think, okay, here we go. Now it's got the redshift material on there, and what I want to do here is just copy this color right here and pick this and fill object. Okay, and then let's pick something like that. All right, let's see what we get when we render this in Redshift. Okay, and I think make sure my render properties are good. Redshift render, error threshold. I'm just going to pump this up. I think bigger is is this pointing to the right thing? That's weird. Okay. Is bigger more or is lesser more? I forget. I think let's go with 1. Let's just see what that goes, what that does. Okay, so now I've basically kicked in Redshift and it's doing the render. Okay, so one of the things with Redshift is that it kind of creates this, you know, softness to it. And that's because it's got, and I don't know why this is on by default. It should be off by default, but there's a under in subtool. Under Redshift properties, there's a smooth surface. So like if I pick this guy, see it's on. What you want to do is you want to turn that off and you want to apply the last action to everything. And again, like I would prefer it if this was off by default, but I don't know why they decided to have it on. But it's an easy fix. So I'm going to render this one more time and we'll call it done. Okay, so I mean that's okay. It did do a decent render. Let's pick a different angle here. All right, and I'm going to pick a different background color. Let's say go with something darker. Something like this. And let's do another render. And as you can see, the render goes by pretty fast. I just have an error threshold of 1. I can lift this up, you know, now that I know that it's working. Everything else is good. The GI bounces or whatever. I don't have glass or anything, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. One other thing I could do is I could pick this material, this thing here, and let's say I want this to be some sort of a leather. So there actually is a leather material here. I thought there was. Here we go, leather. Okay, and I'm just going to fill the material here with leather. So material, fill object, and for good measure, let's do that with these parts too. Same thing, fill object, and this one, fill object. And then let's move back to the rough metal for everything else. It says updating material here. You can hit escape, by the way, to stop this from happening. And I don't know what it's doing there, but you know, whatever. Okay, it's done. And yeah, so we'll do another render. All right, so it's doing the progressive rendering. You can see on top the progress, and it just gets better and better and better. And I think that looks pretty cool. I like how the metal's kind of distinguishing itself over here. And yeah, so I think this is a good place to stop it at. A couple of things before I go is that you know, you saw me use them in here, and this is my Gumroad, and this is where you can get my primitives kit for free, this one. And if you want to leave me a tip and get a few more parts, you can get this version of the primitives, which is the Pro Primitives. You can get my UI colors, again, for free, or you can also get my cylindrical kit bash kit, and you can also get my newly created and introduced rings and loops kit, which has 185 rings and loops. If you want to watch these videos and watch my other videos, they are on my YouTube channel, which are YouTube/KERMACO. And so, for example, here you've got episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, and episode 4 will be here tomorrow morning. I'll put it up. And so that's on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/user/KERMACO. Of course, the best way to keep up with what I'm doing is to go to my Instagram and follow me. There I've got my link tree, so you can click on my link tree, and that will show you my portfolio, my Gnome and workshops, my Gumroad, my Instagram, which will go take you back, of course. My ArtStation, my YouTube, and my Twitch. So all these are in here, my LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Twitter, whatever. Definitely make sure you follow me on Instagram, and you can see here I've done some new works. These are all done in ZBrush as well, trying out some new things. These were really quick sketches that I did. So I will be continuing to post my stuff here. All right, with that, here's the sword we worked on today. And with that, I want to wish everybody a good evening or a good day, whatever time of day it is, where you are, and happy ZBrushing. Again, you can catch me continuing this knight and dragon and sword and whatever the following Friday. And next Friday, I will be on ZBrush Live working on the mech I'm working on. Okay, so thanks for joining me, and happy ZBrushing. Bye-bye.